Hi, David. Oh, sorry, everybody. I am at home today. Hi, let's see. Hi, David. Let's see, Lewis and Andrew, Kennesaw Historical Society. Great to have you guys with us. Hi, Emily. Welcome. We are so glad to have everybody with us. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started because so I can turn my mic off here and turn it over. But please, as you're coming in, let us know who you are, where you're from. We just love to be able to say hi. So welcome to, we are having an event promotion for historical institutions. This program is part of the Georgia History Festival, where each year the Georgia Historical Society chooses a topic that is important to Georgia history to explore. And we do new programming for both educational purposes as well as public programming from September through February. This event is for our local history organization, so we're excited to have you guys. And this event is also sponsored by Norfolk Southern. So we want to give them a shout out and thank you. I am Lisa Landers. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Lisa Landers, the Education Manager at the Georgia Historical Society. And our Sabrina Saturday is going to be leading us through this webinar today. And she is the Marker and Outreach Coordinator at the Georgia Historical Society. Just a real quick reminder that this is recorded. So just as you know, we're welcome to ask questions and things, but you just know that this is recorded and will be available later, as well as we will be taking questions. So if you have any questions throughout the program, please, put them in the chat, and we will hopefully be able to get Sabrina to answer some of those at the end. And with no other real announcements, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Sabrina. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you everyone for joining us today we are having an event promotion for historical institutions. Like Lisa said, my name is Sabrina Saturday, and I'm the Marker and Outreach Coordinator for the Georgia Historical Society. There will be a Q&A following this program, but I also included my email address in the bottom left of the screen in case you think of any additional questions later on or just want to reach out to me personally. This webinar was designed with local history organizations in mind, but I have tried to keep the themes general enough that they could be applied to any event that your organization may be hosting. I will be discussing practices for presenting information to your audiences online and in print, and I hope you find this information beneficial and helps you reach a wider audience and expand your program attendance. Right. So today we are going to discuss some things to think about prior to promotion, sharing your event on community calendars, on social media, in newspapers and television media, using mailed and print collateral, newsletters and email blasts, targeted outreach, and final efforts before your program begins. All right, so once you finalize your program's details, there are a few things you should think about prior to promoting your event. First, you'll want to start planning your timeline for promotion and finalize your budget if you have one. By the end of this webinar, you should be a little more familiar with outreach strategies so you can decide which promotional methods and outreach strategies would work best for your organization and program. A budget is not necessary for promoting all programs. Most GHS programs are promoted using free resources, but we do set aside funds for some of our larger programs such as Super Museum Sunday and Colonial Fair and Muster. Next, you'll want to create descriptive language for your program. This language will be used whenever you promote your event, so it's really helpful to have a copy of it just saved on your computer, ready to copy and paste whenever you start promoting. I also recommend creating a couple of different variations of this language, especially if you plan on promoting on social media. This helps keep your posts seem new and keeps them from seeming stale, and it also helps prevent them from getting hidden by the algorithms that are used by social media platforms. Third, you will want to create a screenshotable graphic. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a moment. That includes the title of the event, the date, the time, the location of your event, include any images from past events if it's kind of similar, images from your collection, or there are also free use stock images available that could be used. To create these graphics, I recommend using Microsoft Publisher, Lucid Press, which is the publisher equivalent through Google, or Canva. Personally, I highly recommend Canva. It's what I use to create this presentation. It's user-friendly. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of templates. They offer discounts for nonprofit organizations if you choose to purchase their Pro version. It's just, I promise this presentation would not look this good without Canva. That's all I have to say about that. All right, so this is an example of what I mean by a screenshotable graphic. You can see the event's title, the organization hosting the event, some focused information. In this case, we're saying free admission. For focused information, think of how you could sum up your event in less than 3 words. The graphic also includes the date of the event, the logo of our event sponsor or partner. However, the graphic is missing the location and time information, but that's because this is for Super Museum Sunday and it's a statewide event, so there's no way we could have included all of the participating sites, their individual hours on this graphic. So we use this to catch people's attention and immediately direct them onto our website where there's more information available. So next we are going to talk about community calendars. And community calendars are a great resource for promoting your events. You should start with the calendars that you're aware of. This includes Chamber of Commerce websites, your city's tourism bureau website, such as Visit Augusta or Visit Columbus. You can also check to see if your local newspaper or news stations offer community calendars on their websites. If you have exhausted all the resources that you're aware of, or if you're just not sure where to start, you can start by searching Google for events in your city. This should populate a list of just upcoming events that are going on around you, and you can follow those links to the host sites to see if it is a public calendar that you're able to submit your event to as well. You can also use Eventbrite, which you probably created an account for when you signed up for this webinar. Eventbrite acts as an event page, ticket tracker, email distribution service, event promoter. If there are people in your area who have used Eventbrite before, it will send them emails with recommendations to other events that are similar to what they've attended before or things that they might be interested in. So I recommend using an Eventbrite page, especially if you do not have a website for your organization. Then once you list your event in your community, you can also expand your radius to surrounding areas. Think about how far you would be willing to travel for this event or an event in another city. But keep in mind that if your program is on a weeknight, people will probably be less likely to travel. But if you have a weekend program, people might be more willing to make the drive. And so why are community calendars important? Individuals, organizations, and groups like to use community calendars to stay up to things to do in your area. Like I mentioned with Eventbrite, some of the calendars can even do the work for you and really stick your event or program into the face of someone who's interested in attending. So some of you may have attended last year's local history webinar focusing on social media. So if you need some more social media information or more background information, you can find that on the Georgia Historical Society's YouTube channel. So I'm going to just kind of dive right in, assuming that you've all know what you're doing on social media. So for Facebook, in addition to creating an event on your community's calendars, you'll also want to create an event on your Facebook page. Like Eventbrite, Facebook will promote your event to your followers, people in your area who may be interested based on their past interests. And then when you share regular posts using that description and graphic we talked about earlier, you can also ask your followers to share the information with their friends, especially if they are not able to attend. You and your followers can also share your post to relevant Facebook groups. I say relevant because most groups have strict rules about self-promotion. I have shared information in the past in teacher groups, local homeschool groups, genealogy pages, just very focused history interest groups. For example, last year, I posted in a few Cold War interest groups on Facebook. However, try not to abuse this opportunity because most of these groups, like I said, they have rules against self-promotion. And you don't want to push that. You could get banned from the group and possibly bring a bad taste to your organization. So it does help when people are willing to share on your behalf outside of your organization or even from a personal page. For Twitter and Instagram, you need to have your eye-catching graphic. Twitter only allows 280 words or 280 characters. Instagram is image-based and only shows the first few words of your caption initially. So it's very important to grab your user's attention with your graphic. You should also research popular local hashtags such as hashtag Savannah, Georgia, hashtag Cobb County, or hashtag Visit Macon. This list goes on and on. If you do not already have a LinkedIn account for your organization, I don't think that you are necessarily missing out on promotional opportunities. However, I do recommend creating a page just to create more brand awareness for your organization. LinkedIn is primarily geared towards professionals, so you'll want to keep that in mind when you are promoting your events. GHS has a fairly large following of educators on LinkedIn, so I have found that it's particularly useful for promoting our educational programs or professional development opportunities. Make sure that you remember to create a schedule so you're not posting promotions over and over back to back. You want to try and mix in your usual content, and it's even better if you can tie your usual content into your promotional posts. And don't forget to tag your event partners or different community pages that might be able to help you promote your program. And one platform that I did not include on here is YouTube. However, I do think it's important to note that YouTube is great for hosting pre-recorded programs or videos that you want to release. You can upload a video to YouTube as a premiere, and that gives you a landing page that you can direct your users to, but they aren't able to access the video until a specific time. So this can help generate interest and just gives people a place to go until you're ready to release your video. Right, so here are a few things you can do to share word about your program with media outlets. Media advisories act as an invitation to outlets and alerts them to your upcoming event. GHS does not always send media advisories for events, but it is recommended that you send them a week prior if you are hoping they will write a story about your event, and about a day prior if you want to make sure that the media will attend your event and cover it. This could be done when you, I'm so sorry. For print calendars and event highlights, this can be done When you are looking at your community calendars, like I mentioned earlier, make sure to look at your local newspapers, websites, your local news stations. They might have community calendars available for you to use, and sometimes they look there first when they're coming up with story ideas. So if you choose not to contact them directly, they might just notice your event and reach out to you to learn more about it. For ad space, like I mentioned, it's not always necessary to pay for promotion. However, if you do choose to purchase ad space, you can likely include more in the newspapers in the ad space than in just the event listing printed in the paper, but ad rates will likely apply. Don't let this scare you away initially. If you are working with a limited budget, look at the ad rates for smaller newspapers in your area. You can also ask about ad packages, which would allow you to purchase a larger number of ads, but you could spread those across the year. So if you have multiple programs during the year, you could purchase 10 ads and dedicate one ad to each program. If you plan on using media outlets to increase awareness of your organization, it is important to start building relationships with your contacts there. I recommend designating 1 or 2 staff members to work directly with the media. That way they become more familiar with you. That doesn't need to be their entire job, but it does help when they are working with new information every day. It's helpful when they have a single contact at an organization. Press releases can be sent following the event. They should include information about its success. We typically include pictures that can be published along with the story. You should definitely include high attendance numbers, quotes from speakers, staff, or other stakeholders. Now, what should you do with print collateral? You can create event flyers, program calendars, event postcards for promoting your events. You can share these materials with the local tourism bureaus, public libraries, coffee shops, schools, hotels, related institutions, etc. for distribution. GHS has also shared event flyers directly with local DAR chapters, Society of Colonial Wars members, American Legion posts, and other similar organizations. If you have a full schedule of programs, consider making a monthly or quarterly calendar that can be shared as well. This uses fewer resources and puts more information into one place. Now, before the pandemic, GHS relied heavily on mailing invitations and postcards to our members through postal mail. During COVID, we had to make a hard switch to electronic collateral materials. We found that they are easier to update in case there are any last-minute changes, and we are able to reach more people. However, some attendees have mentioned that they do prefer physical invitations that they get to save as a memento from the event. Although it may not seem like people need to share materials through the mail anymore, you should take your audience into consideration for that decision. If you have materials for your next program, you should also consider sharing them with your current attendees. They have already shown an interest in your organization's work, so they will be more likely to return for future events. Newsletters and email blasts. So newsletters keep your audience up to date on your organization in general, and they are a good way to keep them engaged. They can include projects you're working on, upcoming events, and your organization's achievements. There are a lot of different email services. Some are free, some are paid services, but some of the paid services do offer free packages, so you can get used to them. And it also depends on how often you want to use it, how many members you'll be sending emails to. So but I am available if you have further questions about that later. I receive some newsletters that are published weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually. The frequency of your newsletter is entirely up to your organization. You should consider your ability to fill it with content and how far out your programs are planned, and also the amount of time that you are able to dedicate to creating it. E-blasts or email blasts are more focused than newsletters and are typically sent within 48 hours of the event. If you are promoting an event on an online event, you should be sure to include working links with your e-blast. That way, once they see that, your viewers know that, this works, I'm all set, I don't have to worry about anything at the last minute. So for the GHS newsletter, some of you may be familiar with our general audience newsletter headlines. It's sent out every other week with occasional special editions on our skipped weeks. Highlights is a monthly newsletter sent to GHS affiliate chapter members. If you are an affiliate chapter member, you can also send us your events and they can be shared through highlights. And if you do receive either headlines or highlights, you may notice some changes over the next few editions as we try some new content and formatting out. So make sure that once you start these things, you don't get too comfortable either, and you are always ready to keep it fresh. So first, what is targeted outreach? Targeted outreach is a focused effort to connect specific individuals with your programs. This would be similar to giving event flyers to other history-focused organizations like we discussed earlier, but try to think bigger. I prefer to send emails introducing myself, GHS, and our event. You will want to send these emails to people who create their own newsletters or blogs in your region, Facebook groups, again, educators. GHS has been pretty successful of reaching out to college professors who teach subjects similar to our program topics, especially with online programs, because that means you can spread your reach to anyone who has internet. For example, we hosted a program with Sam Nunn about the Cold War last year for the Georgia History Festival. And I reached out to international relations professors, people in nuclear science programs, military history professors, and a lot of them ended up sharing the registration information with their students. To avoid sounding like you're just sending out a mass email to any email you can find online, make sure to take the time to personalize each email, include the recipient's name, their organization or department, and how your program fits within their interests. But don't be surprised if you don't get any responses back. The last things you will want to do before your event, make sure to post a social media reminder, send that e-blast to your email list, call to confirm press attendance. This usually needs to be done the morning of the event. Make sure to charge your camera for event photos. I am guilty of showing up with the camera and no battery. So do not do that. Make sure that you have printed and prepared your event programs, have remarks ready to highlight similar events that will be coming up in the future, and make sure that all of your links are working correctly. All right, so we've covered a variety of topics today. I hope you found some of the information useful for your organization's programming goals. I hope I didn't go through this too fast, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat now.
Serena, that was great. Thank you so much. So much useful information. And I know we have, we had one question here coming up. What do you mean by a screenshot when you're talking about screenshotting images?
So a screenshot is something, if you're using your phone, you just save a picture of the screen. And so having a screenshotable graphic is really helpful when you're just scrolling through on things like social media, or it pops up online and you can take a screenshot of that information and save it for later. If you just have a pretty picture and your event title, that looks nice, but you want something that people can go back and look at their screenshot that they took and have what they need right there.
Excellent. So that way it's just a quick message and they can keep it in their phone. They can share it. Absolutely.
Right.
Very good. Very.
And keeps them from having to go back and dig through your website or think of wherever they came across it in the first place.
Well, great. We'll see if anybody has any other questions. Let's see. We have, okay. Are there any free alternatives to MailChimp that you might suggest?
So I do believe that MailChimp offers a free package, like I said, depending on how many emails you want to send and how many people you're sending them to at one time. If you can reach out to me via email, and I can send you a list of them. There are a lot of them, but I did come across a few sites putting this presentation together that recommended some free options. I'd be happy to share that.
Thank you, Serena. And I'll put your email here in the chat, and that came from Linda. So I know you guys have, I think you've been in contact. So yeah, thank you, Linda. Thank you for showing up and being with us today. I know we also had the new Ichota group with us from DNR. So thank you to them for showing up. And again, if you hadn't have a chance to say hello to us and where you're from or who you are, what your group you're with, just tell everybody you're welcome to do that. We've got some time. And I know Sabrina would be happy to answer any questions about event promotion, maybe even social media. As she said in the past, there's some great past webinars as well. And hi, Claire from Noonan. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. And also, if you're here and you want to tell us maybe a little bit about an event you have coming up, or why you wanted to come to this program today, we would love to hear about that as well, since we've got a little bit of time. And also, Sabrina, do you want to talk about our upcoming webinar that we have?
Of course. So I also work with the Georgia Historical Marker Program. So on March 3rd, Elise Butler and I, Elise, the marker manager, we will be hosting another webinar about applying for historical markers. We are going to take our participants through the entire process of coming up with your subject, writing the research paper, the documentation sheet. We will also go through the, creating an account on Submittable, filling in all the information on Submittable, and hopefully everyone can walk away feeling a little more confident about applying for a historical marker in the Georgia Historical Marker Program.
That's great. And that is will be a great resource and webinar. And if anyone's ever been interested in applying for a historical marker in your area, this would be a great opportunity. That's such an important program and a growing program. So if anybody else, I've put Sabrina's email there in the chat. So please, I know she would be happy to respond and talk and answer any questions you might have. I, as well as put my information in the chat. Again, I am the education manager. And thank you, Catherine. You're welcome for all the tips. Linda, is this presentation going to be available afterward? Sabrina, you want to talk about that?
Yes, so this presentation, once it goes through the process of coming out of Zoom, will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And so it should be available whenever you want to see it. And we can also set it up so you can go ahead and skip to specific sections if there's something that you want to revisit.
Yeah, you're welcome, Lori and Andrew. Thank you as well for being here. We hope that you'll join us again in the future. And if you're not already following, do you want to, did you plug, I'm sure the GHS social media? Would you like to?
I did not,
Yep.
which I should have. It's where I'm failing. So if you are not following GHS on social media, I really should have typed this out. You can find us on Instagram at GA_historical_society. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at Georgia History. And we are pretty active on all of our accounts, and I try to like any posts that tag us or share any posts especially if you take pictures of historical markers or share any of our resources. We love to show off our friends across the state.
Yes, absolutely. I was gonna say, and you mentioned tagging community partners, and if you have something going on and you would like GHS to share it, you can, I'm sure, reach out to Sabrina and talk to her about potentially being able to have GHS promote. I know we do that for our affiliate chapters for sure. Those are things that we do in our own affiliate chapter membership newsletter highlights, as well as on social media. So if that's something you're interested in, you may want to look into getting an affiliate chapter membership with GHS, or touching base with Sabrina about being able to share events. All right, well, we have put a little bit of information there in the chat as well about how you can reach us on social media. And if you want to join us with our next webinar, I'm sure we'll be happy to have you. And Sabrina, is there anything else that you'd like to share with everybody before we?
I don't think so. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I hope you take advantage of these extra 30 minutes that you set aside for me, and now you can do something for yourself. But I do hope that you join us March 3rd for applying for the Historical Marker Program webinar. And like I said, tag us, like us on social media, and reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you all. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll hang out for a few minutes. So if there's anybody that would like to chat, or maybe either put your mic on or chat with us about anything, we'll stay on for a few minutes. So we'll be here. But if you'd like to head on out, we'll let you get on your way.
Okay, we're
okay. I was about to ask her a question on chat, but she